ペトラ、今日こそは検査に連れて行くからな。
何度来ても無駄だって言ってるだろう。
誰のために私がこうして迎えに来てると思っているんだ。
誰も読んじゃいないよ。
この頑固者の偏屈女。
I was just gonna say a stubborn patient.
このやぶ医者。
Quack doctor.
この方医者なんぞに厄介になったことはないが、この通りピンピンしてるよ。とっととお帰り。
この
How's Tenma going to come into this?
で、意識はあるのか。
フィンクを担ぎ込んだ人が手当てしたよ。
Ah,
ちょうど通りかかった人がフィンクを見てる
happened
ら
to
し
be
い。
passing
どう
by.
それを治療をさせたのか。
すいません、止めたんですけど窒息する危険性があるので応急処置をさせてもらうって。
Look at the character designs
何者だ
again.
そいつは。
Authentic.
この金を治療費としてお使いください。くそ、ふざけやがって。
先生、どちらへ？
そいつの特徴は。
東洋人で男の子を連れてましたけど。
Should be easy to find, to be honest.
そのまま寝かせておけ。
でもさっきの人が応急処置をしただけで。
応急処置なもんか。あれで完璧なんだよ。
Petra and Schumann. Dita.
なあディータ、本当に困るんだ。私について来られても君は学校へも行けないんだぞ。友達だってできない。
友達いるよ。
You?
誰だい？
天馬。
人の診療所で余計なことをしてくれたの。俺を舐めるな。フィンクが門なしのアル中なのは分かっている。あいつから治療費を取ろうなんてこれっぽっちも思っちゃいない。
Good to know, but he didn't know that, of course.
どうせどこぞの一流病院のエリートが休暇中に仏心を起こしてエツに行ってるんだろうがな。
私たちは先を急ぎますので。
フィンクが引き
He'll put it together.
あの酔っ払いのフィンクか。
ああ。よあ、シューマン先生。
He'll do his part.
フィンクの容体はどうです？そちらは？いや、私は。
Go on, Dr. Schumann. Step in, step in. Come on.
ドクターちゃん、
Dr. Chan.
私の大学の後輩だ。休暇中でちょっとこの村に寄ったんだ。
ドクターちゃん？どこかでお会いしましたか？
私はどこ行ってたと思うね。
え？
ハインツ、あんたの母親ペトラのところだよ。
おふくろ？
あんたからも診療所に来るように言ってくれ。
It's a tight-knit
早急に
community.
治療が必要かもしれないんだ。
あの頑固者は誰の言うことも
There might be one person she could listen to, maybe.
人事みたいに。待てこら。これからがペトラの人生だろうが。あんたの迅速な処置がなければあいつは死んでいた。
ありがとうございます。
警察を見てあれだけ青くなる。あんた、まあいい。一流病院のエリート医師じゃないことは確かだな。お礼か。ちょっと返してもらおうかな。
Come see Petra. Beautiful.
あと2週間もすれば外せるだろう。
先生、うまいリンゴ酒ができたんだ。一杯やってかねえ
It's
か。
a wholesome town.
何を言ってるんだ。治ったら一晩中でも
Ha,
付き合って
I
や
just
る。
love his design. Feels like a real person.
芋持ってってくれ。
は
今年のうまいよ。
He
今度トラックできて山ほどいただいていくかな。
he's kind of like Tenma, but in his own little community.
素晴らしいです。
Subarashi.
何もないがのんびりした村だよ。
いえ、そうじゃなくて、あなたはここの人たちに愛されて、あなたもここの人たちを本当に愛してて。
Right. It's
愛
clear.
だとそんな上等な感情はとっくになくしたよ。私は仕事をこなしてるだけだ。農作業中に気分が悪くなってな。診療所へ連れて行こうとしたが、途中でもう平気だと勝手に家に戻ってしまった。
Interesting.
心配ですね。
何としても連れて行くぞ。私の生きがいをなくしてたまるか。いや、喧嘩相手がいなくなると困るって言っただけだ。あと彼女が作ったグラシェも食えなくなるからな。
おじさん顔真っ赤だよ。
なんだとこのガキ。無駄だよその頑固者は。
Hold on, hold
なん
on.
で医者が嫌いなんですか？
なんでかだって人の体をいじくって自分のこと神様とでも思ってんじゃないのかい？
神様か。神様だったらいいなと思うこともあります。私たちも一生懸命なんですが、 どうしてもミスは出てしまう。神様のように完璧に人を治せたらと思うんですが、私なんかいつも患者さんを見ながら内心ガタガタ。
He's humanizing the doctors.
お願いですから顔だけでも見せてください。
お
なんだいあんた、グラシが好きかい？
ええ。でもドクター・シューマンはあなたの作ったグラシュだけが大好物らしいですよ。
そんなこと初耳だよ。いつ作ってやっても何も言わずに食べていたくせに。
照れ屋なんですよ。ペトラさん、顎を胸につけられますか？
ん？そんなことできるに決まってるだろ。ほれ。あ、
指が4本も入る。
Doesn't look like it's
どうだ？
good news.
おそらくくも膜下出血です。
なんだって？ペトラ！
殺人容疑者の手配書のファックスだ。コピーしてくれ。おふくろ大丈夫か？3日前に倒れたって？
Ah.
あれは殺したって死にませんから。
Here's yet another person who might look the other way.
手術できるならあんたがやってくれ。でないと私は
This is escalating.
また愛する人を自分のせいで失うことになる。
Yeah. That goes to explain how he kind of became the way he is at the moment.
建造天馬に間違いないんだな。
はい。
よし、まだ遠くへは行
Oh
ってないかもしれん。
God.
国道に指導線だ。
やはり中大脳動脈分岐部の動脈瘤ですね。
くそ、ここには手術用顕微鏡もクラニオトームもない。
脳動脈クリップさえあれば直視下でやってみます。
しかしいくらあんたでも難しいだろ
やってみるしかないでしょ
う。私のせいでまたこんなことに。
どうしたんです
Bit of
ド
backstory.
クター・シューマン。この村の患者を一手に引き受けていたあなたらしくないですよ。過去に何があったか知りませんが、目の前の患者に最善を尽くす。医者にできるのはそれだけです。
Go on, Dieter. Show us those keep ups.
ドクター・シューマンは中か？
うん、手術してるよ。
手術っておふくろのか？町の病院に運ばないでこんな診療所で？
大丈夫だよ。天馬がいるもん。
天馬だと？
Dieter.
すごい。クラニオトームもないのにこんなに素早く回答してしまった。
手を上げろ天馬。天馬！
手術中だぞ。
Doesn't even matter to him at the moment.
そいつこそ殺す気だ。その天馬ってのは殺人容疑で逃げ回っている男だからな。
何？
ハイデルベルクで男を一人殺している。連続中年夫婦殺人の容疑もかかってる。
This doctor knows that can't be true.
ここは滅菌状態の手術室だ。お前は菌を持ち込んでいる。
Respected.
今処置しなければ手遅れだ。さあ出ていけ。そうだ、ペトラはお前のおふくろさんだ。だがお前はこの5年間おふくろに何をしてやった？町へ出てから一度でも会ってやったことがあるのか？ここまで育て上げてもらった後、お前はおふくろさんに何をしてやった？大事な人はいつかはいなくなるんだ。今でもペトラは習慣でお前の分も作っちまうんだ。
It's a good message. It's a good message.
ドクター・テンマはお前のおふくろさんを助けようと必死で戦っている。
Rock solid.
またあのグラッシュが食べたければおとなしく出ていけ。
な、天馬がいるから大丈夫だろ。
Dieter. I love this little dude.
ドクター・テンマも眠ってくれ。
私も大丈夫です。
He's got to
あんな困難な
get
ぶ
moving.
っ続けてやり遂げたんだぞ。
念には念を入れないと。
Okay. That too.
元気になったペトラさんにドクター・シューマン
Ah.
がプロポーズできるように。
私は人にプロポーズできる
He's really hard
人間じゃない。
on himself, right?
大学病院時代の私は
Here's that backstory.
患者と話すことなんか二の次だった。
Ah.
病院内でいかに自分の地位を固めるか、院長の派閥に取り入り、院長の代わりに論文を書き、ついには院長の娘と結婚にまで釘付けた。その後も出世街道を邁進さ、妻のことなんか目もくれなかった。ちゃんと見ていれば気づいたはずだったのに、ひどい肝不全だった。彼女は息を引き取るとき、
やっと私を見てくれたの
My
ね。
God.
私には人を愛する資格なんかないんだよ。
この村の人たちをちゃんと見ていた。あなたが見ていたから ペトラさんは助かったんだ。
I mean, it mirrors Tenma's story quite a bit. Wow. Some parts of it, of course.
お前の母親の命を必死になって救ったこの男、まだ殺人犯だと思うのか？
Yeah, the doc knows Tenma's not capable of that.
ハインツです。部長。
He's calling it off. Hold on, doc.
すみませんでした。人違いでした。私が見たのは天馬ではなく、ドクター・チャンという男でした。東洋人なので見間違え
Yeah,
ました。
I was just gonna say,
申し訳ありません。
kind of use that
す
as
みません
a.
でした。
天馬、この村にはあんたが必要なんだ。
He's got things
でも私は行かなくちゃなら
to
ないんで
do.
す。何人もの命を救う私は
Oh,
ある男を殺さなくちゃならないんです。
he said it for the first time.
どういうことだ天馬、あんたにそんなことができるわけはない。人の命をあんなに必死で救おうとするあんたに。
He might be thinking that he is going to save lives
天馬はどんなことしても言っちゃうよ。
by killing that one man. The proportions are a little bit off here. His head looks a little bit smaller in comparison to his body.
お前が一緒なら天馬は道を踏み外さない。天馬のことをよく見てるんだぞ。
He's like, all right, come on then. I have to kill a man. He said it. He put it out there. He's been thinking about that for a long time, right? But to voice it is something else entirely in front of people. All right, so a bit of a tonal shift from the last two episodes. I mean, those are really crucial episodes of the series as a whole, right? The main plot line of the series itself. And this episode kind of takes us back to the self-contained, one and done, the girl and the seasoned soldier type of episode, right? And that is the type of episode I am enjoying. It's already kind of establishing itself as a bit of a trademark episode or approach in this series. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I can see how that might not be everyone's cup of tea. Maybe, for some, it's perhaps a little bit distracting or frustrating even to be, deviating from the Johan and Dr. Tenma storyline. But, it's been clear for some time now that this is an exploration of human nature, right? Beyond just the key or the main conflict that is Johan and Dr. Tenma. And of course, it's always good to have this tonal shift, right? You cannot bombard the audience with intensity, nonstop intensity. There's got to be a balance, of course. And especially this early in the anime or this early in the story. I think 13 episodes in, it's striking quite a functional balance, quite an effective balance, right? A bit of sustained intensity, right? And, the early stages of the anime, the beginning stages, the opening stages, those episodes, episodes 1 to 5 to 6 even, maybe even a few episodes beyond that, before it starts getting to some of the self-contained stuff, or the standalone stuff, there's quite a bit of intensity, right? And, looking back at that stuff, at this point, I am able to see how it's been doing on YouTube. Some of the early episodes that I uploaded, you can see there's a lot of interest in those episodes. And then, of course, there is a bit of exponential decline since. And of course, that's to be expected. It's understandable. I've seen it over the years. Being a content creator, specific or certain stretches of a story tend to attract a big audience, right? And then there's always a bit of a drop off as well. So of course, as a content creator, you have to understand that it's cyclical. There's going to be ups and downs. But that being said, I do appreciate anyone who does show up for every single episode. Thank you. But all of that being said, I'm pleasantly surprised by the turnout for this anime on YouTube. Because before going into it, I knew to set my expectations. But the thing is, it's actually been doing better than even Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now I think the handicap for most people was that it was the sub, the original Japanese voice acting. But let's get into the episode itself now. Yeah, I liked it. It's a great self-contained episode. I think it has a lot of great messages throughout the span of this episode. lessons through the experiences and regrets of experienced people. And of course, you get to experience a lot of that through the standout, limited appearance character in this one, Dr. Schumann, who I really liked. Really early on in the episode, it was really quite noticeable that this is someone that you could maybe even run into in real life, right? It just felt so authentic, even beyond the character design, because the character design is just so grounded and realistic, right? It just feels like you might have seen this type of person out there in the open, you know? It just felt like a real person to me. The strong character writing continues in this episode, doesn't it? This character, Dr. Schumann, I think, is an expertly crafted limited appearance character. Really quite an impactful one. It didn't feel like a shell of a character that a few things have been projected on. It felt like an authentic, lived character. And that's simply because clearly a lot of care has gone into crafting this character, right? His background, his development, just over the span of like 22 minutes, maybe even less. The seasoned Dr. Schumann, right? Bit of a grump, bit of an old head, right? A lot of life experience, good or bad, good and bad. He's kind of consumed by this self-loathing, this self-hatred. He puts these limits on himself, right? Don't get carried away now. You don't deserve this. Reel it back in, old timer. Come on now, right? And this is me trying to think from his perspective. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve any of this, but of course, us the audience knows that there must be a reason for the way he is, right? How he ended up like this. You see that the love he is so hesitant to exhibit comes out anyways, doesn't it? Through his actions, through his sincerity and dedication to these small town folk, right? And of course, the setting itself is so charming. The countryside, a tight-knit community, everyone knows everyone, right? And you see through the reactions of these people how much Dr. Schumann means to them, how much they respect him, how much they care for him, and how much he cares for them, right? One of the standout moments is Dr. Tenma accompanying him to some of these patients, right? He gets to observe his bedside manner. Of course, Dr. Tenma gets to get in there as well and help him out. But yeah, there's a lot of great moments of him just having these wholesome moments, these beautiful moments with these simple people, right? And Dr. Tenma, again, there's a few shots of him just smiling and taking it all in. That's all Dr. Tenma really needed to see to know about the type of person this man is. And then, of course, there's that backstory, the flashback. My God, this is a limited appearance character, but that backstory is just so, crushing, isn't it? So incredibly sad, and so incredibly affecting, isn't it? To this man, to Dr. Schumann. It just completely shapes the rest of his life, essentially, the trajectory of his life, right? But you see, he learns from it quite a bit. His first impression of Tenma is quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because he felt that, this must be some up and coming, prodigy or some hotshot from a city hospital who just wants to, go to the countryside and be compassionate, show some compassion, right? Show that he can come and care for everyone. It reminded Dr. Schumann of himself, of his younger self. Though, of course, even in that flashback, he is a little bit older, isn't he? But he must have been a bit younger in the years coming up to that point, right? Climbing that ladder instead of paying attention to a loved one, right? And that's usually a common theme, prioritizing career advancements over significant others. You see that a lot in a lot of stories, but I think it's still really quite effective in this. As a younger man, it was all about ambition, climbing that ladder, right? Tunnel vision, much like how our Dr. Tenma might have a bit of that, right? Because here, for the first time, he proclaims out loud in front of people, right? And that in itself might be something by design as well, that he felt that he needs to voice this to someone. He needs to put it out there in the open, that it's not just this idea in his head, almost as if he kind of wanted to get it out there. So he knows himself that, okay, this is a thing. This is something I am actually doing here. And I'll return to that in a bit, but let's kind of focus on Dr. Schumann's backstory. Essentially he lived a life. It's essentially a what if, isn't it? It's showing us a bit of how it could have gone down for Tenma if he made that choice to operate on the mare instead, on that faithful knight instead of Johann. But that being said, I think perhaps Tenma wasn't that blinded by ambition, right? Yes, he was ambitious, but not quite at the same level as Dr. Schumann. And how about that moment his wife tells him, "Oh, you finally noticed me," right? She's got a smile on her face as she said it. I mean, even then, she wasn't bitter. And that you could tell that really must have hurt Dr. Schumann. At that point, he must have realized, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve anyone. I'm not the type of person who can propose to anyone, he said later on. I don't deserve anyone's love. But ultimately, he did find a purpose again, didn't he? In this cozy countryside town. Hell, he even found someone he really cares for. Right? A reason to live. My reason to live, as he blushes. And Dieter calls it out, as expected, of a young child. And then, of course, there's a lot of really beautiful messages in this one, right? It's strongly looking at neglected parents. I thought it's really quite sad that she is just by herself in that state at that age, right? Yes, I know, it's common, right? Even though I think it's really quite sad that it's common, but that's just how it is, isn't it? In a lot of cultures. Listen, I come from a background, from a culture that is all about respecting your elders, your parents, right? Your parents are everything. And of course, this is assuming that, you have loving parents that gave you every chance to have an incredible life, an incredible chance at life. And yeah, I do consider myself really quite lucky that I have parents like that. They've done a lot for me, and I'm thankful. And I do have a great relationship with both of them, right? And I'm so proud of that. I'm so happy about that. And long may it continue, of course. So yeah, the idea of parents being by themselves at an older age, it's always a sad one. I mean, you see that Dr. Schumann certainly has a go at Heinz, who he also kind of considers a bit of a son, doesn't he? The way he kind of calls him out, the way he talks to him. I mean, Heinz didn't really appear to be the most intelligent, didn't really seem to be the most bright out there. But yeah, I think it was good for him to kind of have a bit of sense talked into him from Dr. Schumann. And another scene I really liked is Tenma and his approach with Petra, right? He did a fantastic job of humanizing doctors because, Petra is clearly old-fashioned. And, she's essentially from the train of thought that if it's meant to happen, it'll happen, right? If it's my time, then it's my time, right? You tend to see these types of characters a lot. But yeah, I thought Tenma did a great job of establishing that no, the doctors, or us doctors, are really quite human. And, even if it might not be showing on the outside, that on the inside, I tremble at the sight of my patients sometimes. And, speaking of hard exterior, again, how rock solid is he during that surgery? Of course, Heinz comes in, he's really causing quite a stir, escalating the situation, high stakes, high tension situation. But the only one who is laser focused is Dr. Tenma. And of course, that comes with the territory. He is a prodigy. I mean, not a prodigy. He's a bit older, but he's a genius level surgeon, right? That's been established since day one, since episode 1. He's in his element at that point, and nothing can break him. Nothing can phase him, right? I mean, at that point, just the idea of getting caught, all of that is just gone, right? He doesn't even care about it. The only thing he cared about is his patient in front of him. But yeah, there's a line of dialogue in there. I think he said, "I wish that I could heal people perfectly like God," right? So that was really quite effective as well in kind of establishing that, no. Listen, I do not claim to be a deity. I do not claim to have such immense power, right? So, that separation really kind of helps in kind of establishing and understanding a rapport, at least an opening with Petra, right? Okay, yeah, this is someone who's got his head on straight. But yeah, it's yet another case of Tenma, the shining light, the beacon of hope, passing through and kind of touching the lives of others. And ultimately that does include Heinz as well, because he does end up calling it off. Just a bit of casual racism in there, but in that sense, it is kind of effective, isn't it? But of course, you have someone like Dr. Schumann really batting for Tenma as he is performing that surgery on Petra. And of course, even after the surgery, Heinz gets to see that, this man really truly cared about saving a life. And of course, in this case, it's really a personal matter because it's his mother. So much so that he did not care that his cover's been blown. He was laser focused on that. So that told him something. Even someone a bit thick like Heinz was able to pick up on that. And then, of course, Dr. Schumann kind of picked up on that really early on as well. He knew, the type of person he is. That being said, there's that contrast. There's quite a jarring moment, as I alluded to earlier, as Tenma voices his intentions. I have to kill a man, right? And then, of course, that really, really, really kind of shocks or surprises Dr. Schumann. So Dr. Schumann thought it was baffling, completely out of character, based on everything he's observed about Tenma, right? Someone who considers life so precious. Yet here he is telling him that he has to go kill someone, right? Of course, he has no context at all about any of this, about Johann. And of course, it would have been unrealistic anyways for him to, start describing the whole situation to Dr. Schumann. But at the base level, just hearing that from Dr. Tenma was jarring, really quite jarring for him. And the thing is, it's almost as if Dr. Schumann prescribed a bit of hope, a bit of light to Dr. Tenma in Dieter, in kind of sending Dieter back to Dr. Tenma, right? Because he felt that Dieter can help Tenma, help keep him on the straight and narrow, perhaps, right? To essentially remind him or to tether him to the things that matter most. A reminder of his humanity and kindness. But of course, that being said, it's really quite the ask, isn't it, of a young child, especially Dieter in this case, given his own background that he recently just kind of broke out of this abusive condition that he was a part of, right? So it'll be interesting to see how Dieter kind of takes this. But yeah, of course, by the end of it, Dieter and Tenma, that traveling party of two continues. It's quite the noticeable traveling party at this point. This Asian man, this Japanese man, and a child. Before it was just a Japanese man, but now it's a Japanese man or Asian man and a child. So yeah, he'll have to. I don't know how much longer this can continue. Dieter he's with him, but at times, of course, he's going to have to leave him somewhere. Right? A safe house or find someone that he trusts. But yeah, there's also that element of Dieter and his growth from this point on, his development from this point on, right? That's clearly a focus of this as well. But yeah, another episode, another bit of exploration of human nature in a grounded and realistic manner. And listen, perhaps a few of these key moments are quite coincidental, right? Possibly contrived, kind of like a right place at the right time type thing going on for a lot of these moments. But at the end of the day, it's not that egregious or anything. Overall, I thought it was a great episode, enjoyable episode, another really great self-contained episode. I really enjoy these types of episodes, and you need these types of episodes. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or perhaps even timer-based full length or full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel. If you are interested, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, things like Twitter and Instagram. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 14. Until then, take it easy.